Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be chatting through some of my plans for April, my pile of possibilities, because that's what it is. I'm going to be mood reading in April. There's no TBR game after I very much had a TBR game in March, and I haven't quite recovered from it because it's still March when I'm filming this. Not to reveal if I've had a success or a failure with it. That will be in my wrap up, probably coming next week. So, but it's probably going to be down to the wire, like down to the last day on if I'm going to make it or not for the March TBR, which I guess is a success in itself that I have been reading quite a lot. So, but April and some of my plans, because of how structured March has been and how intense it is, I'm thinking it's going to be very much a mood reading month. I've just got loads of piles of possibilities. In April, I am planning to take part in Realm-a-thon, which is hosted by Covers with Cassidy. And this is a competitive based readathon where you're in teams. I'm part of team Bayle, which is like the fantasy romance team, which is the co-hosts of that team are Becca from Becca and the Books and Mel from Melanie Reads. And your aim is that a book will either count towards prompts for your team or like boost your team's points, or a book will be used to attack and deduct points from another team, and so at the end the team with the most points wins. I will link her announcement video down below if you are interested in hearing more about the rules and if you want to take part as well. It seems to be pretty easy to join up. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun, but I'm not going to be too competitive with myself because I need just a chilled month, and I'm just going to fit books in where I can and force them into prompts. So I haven't figured out what prompts my books count for. I will figure that out as I read them. Okay, so some of my rough plans, I have two sides of the coin, two avenues that I want to venture down in April. So we have the sort of romance standalone avenue and we have the sequels avenue. I guess because right now I really feel like reading romance, so we'll start with some of my romance type plans. Again, quite rough. These are just some options of some romances that I might read, some choices. So the first one is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Penguin were kind enough to send me an arc of this, so I will be reading that. That one is one that I feel like I pretty much have to read. It releases in May, so I do have a bit of time, but as I feel like romance and I've got this, I might as well read it, and I have absolutely loved People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read by Emily Henry, so I have high hopes. I really hope I love this one. So definitely Book Lovers by Emily Henry is one of the romances that I want to read, and then otherwise I'm pretty flexible. I think I'll just see how I feel, which ones strike my fancy. I do own Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore, so potentially this because I own it and I haven't started yet, but I will be watching Bridgerton, so maybe I'll be wanting some more Bridgerton vibes in my life after watching that, and this might scratch that Bridgerton itch. But otherwise I'm just going to see, maybe I'll see what's on Kindle Unlimited or what I can find, just something really quick, easy, just fluffy. I don't know, probably one of those books that's not nutritional but is so addictive that you just can't stop reading it, and you just have to know how this relationship that you never want in your life is going to end. That's the sort of thing that I'm after. I feel like that's where I've come to in life, and I'm sure Book Lovers and Bringing Down the Duke probably aren't quite going to scratch that itch, but I'm going to see what I can find and just see what happens. So romance. The other standalone that I've brought off my shelves, but I'm not limiting myself to this, is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I picked this up earlier this month in the bookstore because I saw this edition in Waterstones and I was like, this is so pretty, and this is so pretty, and and this is so pretty, and this is so pretty. So it had to come home with me. It just did. There was nothing else. It just had to come home. I couldn't say no to this. And this seems quite short. It feels like it's going to be really easy to fly through. There's some pictures within it as well. So I just feel like this will be a very quick, easy, fun read. I generally quite enjoy V. Schwab's books, so I feel like this will be fun and probably enjoyable, but it's there as an option as well. And then the sequels. So this year I have started a lot of series. Last year in 2021, I was really good at making sure I was finishing off the series. I was really just finished loads of series, and then I came into this year, I was like, well, I can start a few, and I've started loads. I was like, you can start a few series, and I'm like, let's start all the series, every single series I can find, let's start it. So I need to address that and figure things out and just get my shit together. Okay, so I've got a lot of sequels that I can work on. I've got a whole list now of sequels that I can work on, so I need to like get myself into gear and work on some of these. I definitely can't work on all of them because there's quite a comprehensive list here, and so they can't all be worked on in April, but I'm just going to see where my mood goes and which ones I feel like picking up. Some that I feel are more definite are, learn how to speak, The Hunger of the Gods, so the sequel to The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, comes out in April. In the middle of the month, the 14th of April, The Hunger of the Gods comes out. I don't have an arc of it, so I will be reading it probably on release day. So I love John Gwynne's books. I do. He's like one of my favourite authors, like favourite authors. If you've not heard, I love John Gwynne's books. Like all of them, I love them. I mean, I guess I haven't actually like talked about them in a while because I read like The Faithful and the Fallen in 2020 and then the rest of them in 2021, like the first half of 2021. So I love John Gwynne's books. If you want a guide, I have done a video on my like thoughts on his series so far. So I did that like either just before or just after this book came out. So if you are interested in that and trying to figure out where you might want to start, I will link that. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Hunger of the Gods. I need to know what's going to happen with these characters and what's going to happen next. And I need it in my life. I need it. So I'm really, really excited to get into it. I'm really excited for a new John Gwynne release. It's been a year. It's been a year, guys, since I've had a John Gwynne book. Because it was since this came out, because I was up to date. So painful being up to date on your favourite author's books. So Hunger of the Gods, definitely going to read that in April, and I'm just so excited. Otherwise, for a more definite pick, I definitely plan to pick up the second book in the Daughter of the Forest series, Son of the Shadows. I'm trying to like hunt out an edition of it because I can't find one currently. So I will find one, or I will buy the Kindle one, and then I will find a copy eventually that I can own. But the second one in this series is going to be read in April. This is a buddy read that I've been doing with Vish and Sam. So we read this in March, and then we sort of combined forces with Evie, Sarah and Jolene, and we're going to be doing live shows on these books with them and reading roughly like one a month. So April for the second one and May for the third one. So I definitely have to get to the second one in April because I've committed to it. It's a commitment now. But we spoiler. Well, that's not really a spoiler because it's been in a vlog. We loved this. We absolutely loved it to pieces. So I think we're all really excited to dive into the second one. And otherwise, I think everything else is pretty flexible. They're going to be moving in and out. It's just options. I have a couple of YA options which I plan to get to in the first 3 months, and I didn't get to them in this first quarter. So I do have both Blood and Honey and When Night Breaks, which are continuations or finales in YA series. So this is the finale of a duology, and this is the second book in a trilogy. So hopefully I can continue in these. Maybe if I'd really like to read this one and then I can finish off a series. So that would be like actually finishing something as opposed to just being a second book. But these are some options of some YA, and I actually haven't read any YA this year, which is fine, but I just feel like I might need something fast paced. But these are some options. Otherwise, I read Guild in February and I haven't continued on yet. So I know that the second and third book are out, and the fourth book is coming out in April, May, sometime soon, and that's the finale. So I could potentially get caught up in this series. I found this one really compulsively readable and bingeable. I had a lot of faults with it, but I'm definitely intrigued enough to keep going and continue reading this. So potentially the second and third one in this, and this would really support my team because this is a fantasy romance series. So I would, if I binge read the second and the third one, then that is great because that's 2 fantasy romance books on my TBR. So potentially this. Other series I could continue in, potentially I read the Women's War series, so potentially I could continue in this series. I actually really like this. It was a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting to like this one as much as I did, so potentially this one, and see how I feel about the rest of the series, which I haven't had the best reviews of, but it's not as I've seen that many reviews, so I'd be interested to see what my thoughts are on the second and third one. So potentially this. Other potentials, I read the Fellowship of the Ring in March, so potentially I could read the Two Towers. and continue in the Lord of the Rings. I definitely want to keep going with this, see what my thoughts are on the rest of the series. I never finished The Two Towers. I've left my bookmark in from when I was reading it originally, which is this like pink one, so definitely want to like get past my original bookmark. So potentially this. The Fellowship of the Ring was the Shelf Space Buddy read pick for the month of March, and so we have a discussion up of that, and we were thinking that we would keep going with this and finish it off, and potentially do discussions on the second and third book as well, as we read them. So I don't know if we're going to get to The Two Towers in April or May, but it's a potential. It could be a choice, I guess, if I fancied a very large epic fantasy, which I'm not quite feeling like at the moment, because I'm feeling like I need some romance. But you never know, like a lot can change between the end of March and the end of April. Like I could get to the end of April and really want an epic fantasy. So potentially Oathbringer. Potentially, I feel like it's coming up to being time that I read this, because I read Words of Radiance in November, so it's been quite a few months now, and I've been trying to like space these books out anyway, but I feel like we're coming up to time for this bad boy to have its moment. But this is very very large, very chunky, very epic, so potentially this. I'm basically just showing you my ongoing series list, basically. I think there are like a few more than this, but like predominantly these are my ongoing series. So okay, I'm also potentially I could continue in this series, which I've just started, so we'll see how I feel by like when I'm a bit further into this, but potentially this series as well. So there's lots of potentials. Like these ones, it's hard to like talk on them, but like potentially these, although I expect, spoilers, I haven't started this one yet, so even if I start this one in March, which I do plan to do, so that I can say that I completed my TBR for March, that this will run into April. So this will probably have some like moments to shine in April, and so I probably won't be getting to the sequel, but this one, like there's just lots of ideas, lots of things. There we go. I also I have the audiobook downloaded already of River of Silver, which is the short story collection from the David Bad World that S.A. Shackleborty has just released. So I do have that. I got it from NetGalley, but they gave it to me on the release day, so it's not like it was really an early copy of it. But I do have that, so I have lots of choices. I have lots of choices. I really didn't want to like have a fixed TBR, and like I really was like, this is going to be a month of mood reading. But I've given you some choices. If you have any of these choices that you feel like I really should read in April, just let me know, and let me know what you're planning to read in April. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!